Hey, Joy Brooks with Email and Coffee. Today I'm talking with Wendy Wiseman and get ready to rumble. Wendy, tell us a
It,
little bit about yourself.
it's Friday. Awesome. I am Wendy S. Wiseman of Wiseman Integrative, home of happier, healthier humans, a community collective with attention, taming toolbox. Yes, I am a movement health coach, a pain relief specialist, just generally a coach, a catalyst, and a connector. Creating a better world together as happier, healthier humans, the wise way, simplifying healthy happiness with a focus on movement before exercise, clean eating before fad diets and deprivation, thinking well before berating ourselves and being wrapped in a cloak of negativity and being the silly human stress hoarders that we are. Hold on, I'll text you about that.
Yeah, because I need another test.
Right?
I mean, I work from home, right? And I've worked from home for a long time, and that's been healthy. But it tends to mean that I wake up at 6 and I'm at the desk at 7, and then sometimes 7, 8 o'clock at night. So I'm chained to my desk, and I wanted to be there. And I have to learn how to define my own time. So that's one of the first things. And then you have to learn to redefine movement. And I'm not saying that going to work on site, that's as bad. Because now if you get up and you start exercising, people look at you like you got 5 heads. Or if you're up every 20 minutes, they look at you like, can that person like focus? I literally, I don't know what it is. It may be a sickness. Maybe it's a syndrome of some sort. But if I clock myself, I can guarantee I'm up every 45 minutes. I have to move. I've got
Good.
ants in my pants.
Good.
I
It's
don't know
better
what
than
I'm
ants in
doing.
your head.
Well, the
Ants
thing
are
is,
automatic negative thinking. That's ants. You don't
and
want them in your head or your pants, but it's good
well,
to move.
I mean, my body says you got to move, but then I have to refocus what the hell I was doing.
Uh-huh. That's
So
the
it's
trick.
not as if there's some alarm that I've set for every 45 minutes, and I collect my thoughts and then I get up and leave. It's like a klaxon that goes off, and I'm like, I gotta get up, and I am up before I even say, well, look at what you were doing, and think, no, I'm up. I got to get up. It's like an
Bookmark
alarm.
where you're at, right?
Yeah. So I'd say that we all need to organize a bunch of things that we take for granted. We have to organize our thoughts. We have to organize our movement. You know, um, when people come and ask, like I've learned it the hard way. I'm your do-it-yourself gal, the original DIY. When people come to you, like what are some of the methods or processes that you start people on?
Come on up. Well, first, a word from our sponsor, Max,
Oh,
who,
hello.
who will be pushing at me until I do this and let him go. But I too had to learn by example. I mean, it was nice to go into this and finally have the science for my parents because I wasn't just a wiggly, can't sit still kid. Movement is natural. And, our modern world does us so many disservices in so many ways in the cost of convenient living. But I've distilled it down because who wants another to do on their list or, more on their platter of too many things? I mean, at least you get up and move and you're not multitasking in so many scattered things that you're just
Oh,
completely
yes,
lost.
I am.
But at least you have that clock that gets you to move. But you nailed it when you said you have to learn, you have to train. In my bodywork practice, I tell people muscles are like children and puppies. They're going to do what's easier, more convenient, or, what they're used to, or what's more fun than necessarily what's best, what's ideal, what's optimal. So by retraining our brain to move more while we're sitting and doing the things, by being more in our doing, because after all, we are human beings. Unfortunately, we've gotten too much into the human doing, down and
Yes.
over devices. So it's
Mhm.
really just mindset and retraining yourself to tune in, because we're so lost in our heads and there's so many distractions and things vying for our attention that then we'll just check out altogether of our brain and our body, right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So it is setting the intention. The formula is a 3x3 formula to simplify things. It is the foundations of move, meal, and mind, because without one of those, as some fit pros, $1 million fit pros have now been revealed to have fallen apart inside and deteriorated and all kinds of things, because you have to be balancing. There's no true work-life balance, just like there's not happy, healthy humans, right? It's about how can we be happier and healthier and keep that boat afloat
Mhm.
in stormy seas.
Mhm.
And you got to have the rigging right. Yeah. And you got to keep adjusting the pull and the
So,
tensions and the
so it is a
practice.
little bit of work. It is a little
Yeah,
bit of work.
it's simple, but it's not easy. Was it easy to learn to sit up, to crawl, to walk, to ride a bike, to drive a car, to use these darn devices? No, that wasn't easy. It's easier these days, but it's still a lot to. You have to have the desire and the long-term focus, and realize that it's not about just going to the gym a couple times a week. Because what are you doing? If you go to the gym even every day, you do your workout every day, what are you doing for the other 12, 14, 16 hours of the day? Every minute of every day, you're training yourself, your body, your mind, your gut brain. So by simplifying with the three foundations of move, meal, and mind, and the three phases, the pillar phases that move you through, attention's the key to unlocking change, right? Awareness is. But attention directs that awareness through the door, and action, you have to turn the ignition, activation, right? So we've got attention and activation into action, and adaptation is how we make it fit our crazy, busy, hectic lives. Because that's where most of us, lose the workout or the diet or whatever healthy practice, the journaling, the gratitude, whatever practice we've integrated, we didn't really integrate. We just did it for a little while and drifted away.
Yeah.
So the key is to integrate these things into your being. And that's when they become easy, right? Like driving a car is now, for the most part, almost on autopilot.
Almost.
So we hook things to other habits. The Tiny Habits practice, Atomic Habits, those are two fabulous books. If you haven't read them, go check them out.
Atomic Habits is on my reading list this month.
Awesome. And Tiny Habits is by BJ Fogg. That's another one that's great. It's about breaking it down, into the minimal things, which has kind of become my specialty. Taming your tension anywhere, anytime, so that you have the keys when you need them. You don't have to put your shoes on or take your shoes off or go to a certain place or change your clothes or, have a certain gadget or anything. All you have is within you. You just have to remember to tune in.
Yeah.
And that's the crux these days, right? We text you about that.
It's funny because it's sort of like, you go about your life and you're saying, oh, I'm going to go on a diet and I'm going to lose 20 pounds and I'm going to do that, soon, soon. And that's the problem. We don't, we're not actually creating a process in our own little life, some sort of a process. And that would be, okay, what's today? All right, it's the middle of the day. Probably maybe knock off one thing. Let's think about what I'm eating for dinner. Knock something, think about what in that meal I shouldn't be eating, and then start planning for tomorrow. Don't say I'll do it next Monday. Start beginning to put it into practice by you have to have some process. And that
Yeah.
process in the long term isn't going to say I'm on a diet forever. It's going to end up the way you eat.
Yeah.
So
Part
in
of who you
five
are.
months from now, you'll be planning a meal. You'll have breakfast. You'll be planning dinner. If you hadn't planned it the day before, you'll be planning it at breakfast. What am I eating for dinner tonight? Okay, so for lunch I'm going to have this. So I'm missing this. That I'll have a fruit. You're thinking about all the foods that you should be eating, and that's the process that you begin to put into place where it becomes a habit. Now you're not thinking I'm on a diet. So the same thing with movement. Like you know, my problem I could do with food. My problem is I I would love to be able to have some sort of a movement program in the middle of the day. In the
Mhm.
morning, uh, assuming the weather is okay, I walk the dogs. And in the evening, assuming the weather is okay, I walk the dogs. And they get a 3 mile walk. So altogether, I'm walking 6 miles. In the middle of the day, ugats, I'm not doing anything except, jumping up from my desk and running around and doing nothing. And I think to myself, maybe I need a Peloton. And I'm trying to solve the problem. I don't know what to do. I don't know
Put
what
more
to do.
yay in every day.
I know. So that's, I'm thinking, why wouldn't some sort of aerobic exercise that I can do, why wouldn't that make sense?
Well, there are these wonderful things now that are very common as people have moved away from sitting because of the tag sitting is the new smoking. Well, let me tell you, folks, it's not sitting that's the new smoking, it's stagnation. Plenty of people have switched to a stand up desk and sunk into their hip and stood wrong and ended up on my table all out of whack. Also, it's the lack of movement, variety, and frequency. So people are learning now that the multi-level desks, and then they have these treadmill things or these bicycles that you can put underneath. And I do that just without the devices because you can do toe raises right here. I'm sitting on an active sit cushion, which engages my core, and
Oh,
I'm on a stool, which I swivel. And
I
sometimes
do it a lot.
I
I
switch to a big ball to sit on because that keeps you have to keep some awareness so you don't fall off the ball. But adding these things, there's some schools that add like 1 minute movement breaks, 1 minute of squats, 1 minute of push-ups, or 1 minute of whatever activity you want to be building your heart or your strength with. You just take a minute break. Do that 5 times a day. That was Japanese Roku, like Roku, something like that. Do it 6 times. Do it for 6 minutes, 6 times a day. And I often have people hook certain exercises to their bathroom break because you best be hydrating and going to the bathroom.
Hydrating is one of my problems. I have to remind myself. A
You
doctor
train
once,
yourself.
no, a doctor once told me, he goes, "Are you camel? What's wrong with you?" Because I don't drink. I have to be reminded to drink, literally. And
Yeah.
I've done it for 3 or 4 days. It's like my vitamins. I'm like, okay, don't forget to take your vitamins.
Yeah.
And then suddenly one day I forget, and then I'm off schedule all over again. I'm like, what is it with water and vitamins?
I had a lot of trouble. I had myself trained. I have these 20-ounce bottles because the target is to consume half your body weight in ounces.
That's a lot.
So I start my day with one of these with some lemon in it right off. It's great to start your day with water because you wake up dehydrated no matter who
Yes.
you are.
And it actually feels pretty good when you drink it.
It is, and it energizes you. And then I don't need my coffee, but I still want it because it's
Yes.
delicious and it's good. But when I had myself programmed to my work schedule. So then when I suddenly would work from home or be off my work schedule, I wasn't drinking the water. And I realized that, I'd get headaches and things. So I had to retrain myself to make it automatic and not so linked to activities. And I still have trouble at home sometimes. If I don't have the water bottle right there in sight, I can drift away into the devices like all of us can and lose track. So it has to be just an intentional thing that you program
Yeah.
yourself to, like
I think the
everything else.
bottle, I think the bottle is a good idea. So
Yeah.
everybody should go out if they have a problem with water, get themselves a bottle, put it at their desk,
Mhm.
and when it's empty, like it's at the desk, don't leave it in the kitchen. At the
Nope.
desk.
Or have 3 of them, but have them in sight. Have it in your car. I know that I need to drink 3 of these or 4 if it's more hot outside, depending on my other food, the water from food and other beverages and level of activity and, heat, environmental and physical factors. Um, for weight loss, people might want a whole gallon, but depending if you're on medications, you don't want to overconsume water. You got to talk to your medical care team about that because you can flush medicine that your body needs out. So these are all considerations, but we're largely made of water, and movement is required for life to help the cells process, not just circulation and respiration, but you're made up of billions of cells. You're not just a bag of, bum shoulders and bad backs. You're this wonderful, incredible ecosystem that is so resilient and adaptable when you don't get in the way. Let me text you about that.
Yeah, it's you know, as yeah, man, as you get older, different things happen, and your body doesn't move the way it used to. But a lot of people will say, "Oh, I can't do that because," and I'm one of those people where
Hmm.
I can do. I I wanted to do yoga, so I went to a yoga studio and I joined, and I believe it was the dog thing, and I did the dog thing, and I was like, um, I felt like a television show because I got stuck, and I was like, okay, this is a problem. I can't get
Yeah.
up, and
Yeah.
I thought yoga's not good for me because even though it seems to be fluid movement where what would be the problem with this? The move slight, fluid, long term, hold the position movement. What's wrong with
Mm-hmm.
that? I'm thinking it's not a good idea. They don't know my body. So
Ah.
I have over time tried, like I said, I'm the initial do it yourself girl. I try to, put things in. So I like bicycle riding is good for me. I could do that. Walking is good for me. And if I say it too many times, the dog's going to jump up. But that's good for me. Going into a pool and swimming is good for me. But it's non impact.
Yep.
And not playing with different pressure points on my back is important for me to understand because I have issues. And I don't know where, what, how. Do you understand like what causes people to have issues? I think everybody has them. Issues with their back and neck.
Lack of movement. It's, people view these things as, oh, it just happened to me. It just went out. It's like, no, this is like I was talking about earlier. Every minute of every day, your whole life, you're training and, accumulating these things. And, eventually a bridge will not carry all that traffic, or, the car will stop running if you don't put oil in it. So it's it's interesting that you brought up the yoga class because that's where so much of it us go wrong. We think we're doing the right things, and that's part of why I'm doing this. We think we're doing the right things, all this stretching, but we're not getting the results because of the way we're doing it without tuning into and knowing our body. We're doing instead of being in what we're trying to do. So it's this subtle little shift that starts to get the results safely. Instead of trying to fit into a position that someone else has made for someone else's body that might not even be good for their body, it's honoring where you are in your body. And the best way to do that is micro moves and something called movement snacks, which is these little bits of movement throughout the day that feed information into your central processing unit. Part of the reason you touch and move is to help complete this circuit. It provides the sensory feedback that helps your brain figure out a little bit more about what's going on. One of the keys is to move gently and slowly instead of faster, harder.
Yeah.
more.
Right.
It's very hard for a lot of folks to get past that no pain, no gain thing, because when you slow down, then your body can actually figure out, oh, I stopped paying attention to this because we were just plowing past it. But then it starts to listen, and it starts to trickle through and start to change. And maybe you're going to wake up at 3 a.m. with some weird pains. That's when the cleaning crews are taking out the trash, right? If you don't get enough sleep and you don't let the cleaning crews take the trash out, then your body's going to fill up with the garbage, and you're going to get inflammation, and you're going to wake up too stiff and sore to move altogether. Mm-hmm. So there's a lot of pain education that has to go on, the way we think about pain, the way we think about movement, the way we think about exercise, the way we think about our own ability, because increasingly more and more we're seeing the resilience and the capability of humans that were told they would never walk again or move again, or no, you can't do that, or you must have surgery, not need the surgery, regain full motion, make miraculous recoveries, because they didn't buy in to, okay, well, I guess that's just the way it is. I'm too old. I'm too fat. I'm too broken.
Or I have to take this medication.
Yeah.
And I can't do that anymore because, doctor told me I have to be careful.
Yeah.
So, do you recommend any time, like you said, you said micro moves. Do you recommend any type of micro movement process for people?
There's wonderful. One of my favorite teachers is Katie Bowman. Mm-hmm. And she has a book called Dynamic Aging with some other women. And this is the new one, Rethink Your Position. And no, I'm not getting paid anything. I just honestly believe in and love the way she makes this all very accessible for folks. Because she's a biomechanist and can take that super scientific stuff and help you understand to just lift your hip this way and accessing your movement in new ways. And I help folks with that too, and with more targeted pain relief. But the best thing you can do is just start to tune in. Like right now, I have 3 keys that I use to help folks reset anywhere, anytime. You can take more time with the practice, or you can do it quick all at once. And it's breathe in through the nose, out through the mouth, resets, stimulates the relaxation response. Smile stimulates positive hormonal response, the feel-good stuff in your system. So even if once it took me 9 times to make myself smile, and it hurt, but I pushed through and I finally did it. And then I felt good, not only because I smiled, but because I accomplished that despite all of my internal resistance. I'm going to feel bad. And the third key is to enjoy. You generate that joy, right? Mm-hmm. And things you can do to tap into that are thinking of favorite experiences or favorite places or favorite people or favorite foods, or watching silly cat videos, or whatever it is that lights that spark of joy for you. Or maybe it's as simple as, wow, that felt good, to breathe, smile, and enjoy. So you can use this. You can set a little reminder on your phone. Lift your head up.
I'll test you on that.
Lift your head up, right? These little checks. And you can go breathe, smile, enjoy all at once. Or you can take 3 minutes and really deeper exhales, or play with any of the breathing methods and really feel that smile flood throughout your body. Feel the weight of your body against the ground or your seat, the weight of your clothes against your skin, all of these different mindfulness techniques. There's tons of mindfulness meditations and guided practices available now with this wonderful interwebs thing that also try not to do it like that. But sometimes you have to start with setting notifications on these devices to take a break, to look for 20 seconds, look 20 feet away, maybe every 20 minutes if you're on the computer all day, because that really helps with your eyes, to focus different directions. Set a reminder to reorient yourself. Sense your surroundings. What's the quality of the air? Any sounds you might hear? You can do, this is a micro move that the more you do it, the better your neck, back, shoulder tension is going to be. And that's just tiny little nods. Yes, I'm doing it. No, I'm not. Little wiggles of the shoulders, because we're silly human stress hoarders. And, dogs do zoomies. Hooved creatures kick it out after they escape the lion. The squirrel sat there and shook when the dog almost got it. But no, we just keep hoarding it. Hoarding. What's wrong with my neck? This is where I hold all my tension. I'm like, stop holding it. Shake it out.
Yeah.
Shake it out. Move more. Reorient yourself within your body. And breathing is the key. Can you breathe more fully? Can you breathe more out to the side?
Every time you say breathe, that's exactly what I do.
Good.
As if, I'm not breathing.
The big why. Every coach tells you need a big why. This is mine. Arms up to the sky. If you don't have arms or you can't lift your arms like that,
it feels so good.
It's the expansive opening energy. If you can't lift your arms like that, right? It's that energy of uplifting yourself, you activating yourself. Yay. Right? And here's Max, because he loves when I have that good energy. And like I said, embodying that energy if you're not somewhere where you can lift your arms up, but it unwinds our down over desks and devices tension patterns. You can do this throughout the day, little bits of this, because, how often do any of you rub your feet, touch your feet? I'm amazed by clients that
sometimes I think that I'm kinky, because I'll rub my own feet and then I'll say to myself, I really wish somebody was here to rub my feet.
But you're rubbing your feet. That's giving your whole body a massage.
I'm telling you, my feet called to me, and I'm like, and I have a little balm, and I put the balm on my feet, and I'm like, rub. Oh, it feels good. I asked my girlfriend, I'm like, who does your nails? She goes, oh, you want to get you want to do nail polish? I'm like, no, I hate nail polish. I just need someone to touch my feet. I'll pay for someone to touch my feet. So what you're saying is, what I hear you saying is that, no, it's not kinky to think about yourself in these ways. It's really pretty responsible to actually, you're sitting at your desk, you're trying to figure something out. It's beginning to be confusing or tense. Maybe a conversation came up. Mm-hmm. Take a break. Get up. Walk to the window. Stand up straight. Stretch a little bit. Deep breath. Smile. If you're still feeling tense, do it all over again. If you've got to spend 4 or 5 minutes at the window, do it. If you've got to walk outside, do it. If somebody's hollering, where are you going? I'll be right back.
I've got it. I was just doing micro moves. We were talking about micro moves. I was just adjusting my scapula and feeling it on my shoulders, little subtle movements. But when you feel that stress, tune into your body. If you're having that irritating email, tune in for a minute. And then, because by bringing your awareness to that, gradually your body will stop responding like that. Just by, oh, look, there it goes again. Oh, there it goes again. Wow. Whoa, there it goes again. Oh, you'll notice when you start to get stressed, the first thing is this goes back, clench, and then the rest follows. And next thing you know, you're like this. Mm-hmm. And your breathing gets more shallow because you can't take as much air in. Going outside is awesome. I'm so glad you mentioned that. Mm-hmm. It's vitamin G. Nature nurtures. We need it. Mm-hmm. I brought vitamin G inside with me. It's a grounding mat that I can sit with because it discharges, it rebalances the energy and the ions. And it's so very important to spend some time outside. If you can't get outside, to look at some nature on your devices or to think about some beautiful nature scene. It still has an impact on your body. If you can't move sometime in bed, you can think about the movements. In fact, that's how I get some people started. I'm like, okay, just watch the video. If you're not going to do it, just watch it and think about how it feels and then try a little bit of it. And then eventually they'll do the video and then eventually they can do the movements without the video. Right. Mm-hmm. But as a performer and an athlete and dancer and actor, whatever, so many of us, you use these different paths of learning. You watch the tapes, you feel the tapes, you do the practice to build the skill. You do it in your head. You walk and talk through it. But it's practice, which goes back to where you started this, learning and teaching yourself. We have to learn the new ways of being to be the way we want to be.
And not give up, because intention is it's great, because you say, I'm going to do this, and you start the day assuming you're going to do this, and the day runs its way with you, and suddenly you're a character in the day's game. You're not your own character anymore. Somebody else is directing you, and the day just takes you away, and then you think there's something wrong with me. It's really nothing wrong. I think that this is normal for everybody.
Yes.
It is something we need to learn how to do.
Yeah. It's stuff
And
that, like finance, we should be taught in school how to, emotional management and, finance and just,
it's not
organizing
so much
instead of,
we should, we go to gym class and
yeah,
we learn how to play football, baseball, soccer. That's meaningless. And I
right.
hated it because there's so many rules that were not applicable. So the ball is 5 points, and if you touch it, it's 7 points.
But you're also not taught how to move well. And so many injuries come out of like shoving your body through these activities without having the basic coordination.
Somehow I felt more comfortable when we were doing dance, when we were in elementary school, and we're going to do the polka now. Okay, let's do the polka. But, you moved your whole body, and, oh, that's good, Joy. And like, yeah, I'm good. And then I got into, soccer, and I was like, I'm not good at these games. Like, can we go back to polka dancing? So you're right. We're not taught any of these things, and it's not something that even our parents taught us. Sometimes, your mom or dad teach you how to, balance a checkbook.
Right.
They did. My parents did. Thank you very much, Daddy. But no, they didn't teach me anything about emotions, or aside from my mother's expression, oh, you're crying now, well, I'll give you something to cry about.
Right.
That was as far as emotions go. But these are things that we're not taught, and we don't even think we own, and we own them 100%. That we're not doing them, we own that. So, you say, oh, I don't know, I can't learn. It's not, that's because you're saying that. You're saying,
Yeah.
I can't. You
Yeah.
own that 100%. If you say, I can, and you own that 100%, you'll start doing it little
Where
by
your
little.
focus grows. When you were talking about eating, and I was like, you don't have to start about thinking about substituting anything. You just have to start telling yourself, I eat healthy for my well-being. I eat healthy for my well-being. And repeat it and repeat it and repeat it. And
And the
next thing you
Twinkie
know, you're
doesn't
going to
look so
start
good.
eating less sugar. You're going to start eating less processed artificial foods, and, just little step by step. But it all starts here. It's all right here.
Yeah, it is. I'd say
But
that.
that's why support's so important. To
Yeah,
have support that of like-minded, caring, and committed people. Because as an entrepreneur, you know that friends and family, they don't get it. Go get a job. There's a lot of that with weight loss. A lot of people can't keep the weight off because they're around a lot of people that are feeding them more junk food. No, you got to eat this. Put some more meat on your bones.
right. Oh, have a piece of cake. Come on, it's birthday time.
Yeah.
I don't
So
eat cake.
it takes a lot of strength, and what does it take? I have to bargain with myself sometimes to, just get out of bed. You can get back in bed with your coffee, whatever. Sometimes you got to bargain with yourself, right? And you've got to really hook into that why, that motivating, driving factor. I was in my 40s, and as an active younger person, I was discombobulated as a kid, and then I kind of got into sports and whatever. I liked being outside, but somehow from photography and the School of Art, I ended up in dance, and that's where I discovered my body and body work in this whole new realms. I can feel the energy now. But then through depression, 9/11, and this, that, and the other, and I was over 200 pounds. My knee would give out trying to stand up off the toilet. My thumb arthritis was so bad that, I couldn't pull my pants up or do my ponytail. And I was like, I'm not even 50 and I'm falling apart. What the? And, you know, you got to decide. And I knew where that path was going, pancreatic cancer or other horrible decrepitude, dismay, disease. And, you know, we're all headed for the end anyhow. But, you know, I decided that I would become happier and healthier every year up to and after 50, 5 years in. And part of that being happier and healthier is, as I said earlier, it's not happy, healthy humans. It's how can we be happier when, you know, I lost my mother and my father and there's always things happening.
Always something.
And how can we be happier and healthier in this moment? It's how you look at it, what you're telling yourself about it, and if you choose to generate joy or be a victim. It's a choice.
It is a choice. I mean, you know, I'm not, I've had this conversation with other people, and I never want to discount suffering. And I never even want to assume that I have even suffered as much as some people suffer every single day of their lives. Right. I can't assume that. And I won't, you know, I don't want to use the privileged word. I'll just say that I have gone through fire, plague, flood, death. I've had all these things happen to me. And I just pick myself up and go. Now, am I cold? Possibly. Am I shutting down? I don't think so. However, you know, I know about these things, and I don't see why crying every day is going to, you know, literally, when my husband passed away, he had cancer. It wasn't like, oh, surprise, he's dead.
Right.
I mean, I realized, you know what? He's in a better place. I was very sad because he's in a better place and I'm freaking alone. Thank you very much. And so there's a lot of emotion going on in me. And I literally said, I have to go back to work. I can't sit around and think about this.
Mm-hmm.
And I went back to work, and everybody said, "What are you, crazy? What are you doing?" I'm like, exactly. I have to do.
You have to do something to not be in that pit.
And I thought to myself, how do I move through the grief? And I applied. I joined a writing community, and I wrote it out. And it's not over, but the initial confusion and all the guilt, all of the emotions you feel when you're presented with a loved one's death, all of those, I've worked them out to some extent, and I yet another do-it-yourself moment in time. I could have gone to a grief council,
right?
I could have gone into therapy, and I thought to myself, I've been in therapy. I know how to do this. Let's apply those rules and see if I can work it out. Mm-hmm. I'm not better than anyone else.
No.
I'm not better. I just decided I own this.
Yeah.
This is me. I got to do this because at the other end of the bridge there, I want to be able to wave hello to myself and recognize the person I was, I am, and I'm going to be, and then just move on.
Yeah.
And it's not easy, but it is something I've taught myself. When I was younger, my first boyfriend broke my heart and broke my world apart. And I thought, oh, this is the most painful thing in the world. I cannot live with this. I want to die. And I really did. I was 15 years old and I wanted to die. And that was the most amount of suffering I've ever experienced in my life. So whether it's depression, I mean, I was 15 years old. So what I tell people that I meet up with is collect your experiences. Don't say that you did something wrong and ignore it. Collect it, and then better it and say, okay, I did this wrong. You know, now what would be the right thing to do? Okay, so let's see if I can put that into motion. How can I put it into motion? You know?
How now?
How now?
I was
Yeah.
recently on the podcast called How Now, the How Now podcast. And it's funny that you chose, well, that story, because one of my major influences is Brendan Burchard. And I strive to serve with significant impact as he has. But one of his top stories is that moment of that heartbreak and wanting to die. And then, choosing, no, I want to live. So how do I go through this? And you also brought up writing, and writing is so important, getting it out instead of just spinning in this mucky, swampy, sludge that then leads to that stagnation and anchoring you. But dumping it out, sorting it. Life is messy. And
Very
yeah,
messy.
it's like there are far worse. When I was too depressed to do body work, I chose to drive that time when I was over 200 pounds. And I chose to drive a paratransit bus, because if I had gone and sat in a cubicle, I would have gotten more depressed and may not be here today. But by driving, moving through, literally pushing 400-pound people in broken down wheelchairs and seeing how much worse, how many more struggles other people go through. And there's always someone with more struggles. There's always someone that seems to have it better, You never know what someone's going through. And you should never discount anyone else's pain or grief, because it's all individual. And we're each on our own journey. And there's none of this comparisonitis. Oh, my struggle's worse than your struggle, or I've got it worse than you do. It's like,
Or, I know exactly how you feel. Not really.
Wow, that sounds tough. How did you get through that? How are you coping? Is there anything I can do for you? Do you know about this fabulous community of happier, healthier humans?
One of the best things that I tell people is to volunteer.
Yes. Volunteering,
just
gratitude.
Volunteer. Anything, do anything, just volunteer anything. Doesn't need.
Do you know that it has been proven there's the scientific study that giving, and in fact, just the thought of giving, actually reduced inflammatory markers in the body.
I could believe it.
It's that good for you.
It's, because you, like you said, the intention is to, literally, the intention is to get busy. And if you're in the right mind frame, you're going to start listening to other people, and the shift will go from you to them. And then it will occur to you, geez, and I thought I had it bad. And then suddenly you have respect for the other person. And then it shifts again, because just because they're in a wheelchair doesn't mean they're a sorry sack. There may be any amount going on in their life. They suddenly share with you. All of these things can happen. And that's when you see this another dimension in life, that it's not just this trajectory of, I'm going to grow up and I'm going to get married, I'm going to have a family, and then I'm going to have grandkids, and then I'm going to die. That's linear, and that's sort of what happens, but a lot happens in between. And once again, we're not 100% in control, but we 100% own it.
Yeah.
So, if there's a war and if there's famine, obviously you're not in control of that, but how you deal with that is yours.
Viktor Frankl's book, but we're really, all of us, any one of us, is any minute, it could be a health disaster. There could be some complete collapse. Look at Montpelier, Vermont right now is being washed away. There's always something, and you never know. So appreciating and having gratitude and nurturing and building that resilience within you, because these are practices to not go into that, fight, flight, responses. You train your system to optimize your being.
It's not, it's, oh gosh, it's a lot of work. It's a lot of work being human.
It is. It's so hard in today's world, because everything is stacked against you. Everything. People are paid so much money to get your attention, to get your money, to get you off track, so that you need to buy this, so that you need this procedure, so that you need this medication, so that they can get you hooked, so that they can keep you in line. So
And
that,
it's kind of funny because, it's like this power play for control and power and money. And then you get hooked into that thinking that's where I need to go. I need money, I need power, I need control. And then you get all those things and you realize,
all you need is love. All you need is love.
la da 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 da. I just I wish that everybody could, what does that say? Accept the fact you are amazing. Is that
There
a
you
book?
go.
Is that a book or a painting?
It's a card that was sent
Oh,
to me that I keep right here as a reminder, because, sometimes you need those things in your line of sight. That's part of how because it is so hard, that's part of how we train ourselves to, put those little notes around, or reminders on the phones, or the good messages on the wall or in your face. Snap
I was
bands.
listening. I was listening to another podcast, and the question came up: do you think that people are inherently good or bad? And the answer was, you're not going to like this. The answer was, oh, we're inherently bad. And I was like really turned off by that. And I thought to myself, I think we need to teach ourselves goodness, because we'll take the easy way out every single time. And I'm not trying to make that bad versus good, but we're late. We are inherently, what's the quickest way? What's the easiest way? We're pragmatic like that. And if you continue to do that, there, you don't develop goodness. You don't understand. You need to take time to be good, do good, recognize good, thank good, share good. You need to do that. That's not inherent.
We need to move beyond binary, first of all.
Yeah, well, it's very true. It's neither good or bad,
and
but
live love. I mean, at the end of the day, it's live love. That is the goodness. Making things good and bad. It's like, is it good for you now? Is it good for you, or is it good for the other person? That's perspective. I mean, something that's good for you isn't necessarily good for that person, but training
true.
that caring and compassion is what you're talking about.
Yes.
That coming from that place of love, of
yes.
goodness.
That is goodness. Maybe the word should not be good, but goodness. And
shoulds,
therefore,
woulds, coulds.
it's the process of being good, which is the opposite of being bad. But I just, I do think that given our nature, as I said, will make things easy and convenient, which is not necessarily right.
No, it's a survival response to stay. We're safe here. We're going to stay here. This is easy, whatever.
This bag of chips, it's easy. I could just go to 7-Eleven and buy the chips and soda instead of making a lunch.
Yeah.
And now
it's just as easy to reach for the apple as it is for the bag of chips.
Yes, it is.
But you have to train yourself to, there's that shiny object of certain colors with certain messages that you.
When was the last time you saw
planted in your
a commercial on television that had lots of apples and people going yum yum yum?
Right, and everywhere you go, you see it as you pass by magazines or billboards or whatever. Or, hear it from the gas pumps.
Ruffles or like Lay's. I bet you just can't eat just one.
Yeah.
Right.
And it's been programmed your whole life too. These messages, it's just like the pains and the fact that because you're not aware of how you're moving and you keep moving in the same way because it's comfortable, but it's not efficient. So it's eroding your discs or your joints, but it's easier than retraining your muscle to strengthen that low back to kind of, oh, my posture is horrible. It's easier to complain about it than to just sit up and uplift yourself. And oh, but then my back aches. Well, because it needs strengthening, but the ache's going to be worse if you don't strengthen it and you need surgery. Right. So
that is something, when you said, sitting up straight or standing straight, because I'll, out of nowhere in the day, I'll be like, and I'm like, can you believe the way I'm sitting?
Yeah.
What wrong with you?
Noticing it is the first thing.
What the heck is, why am I sitting like this? And then I'm like, okay, sit up.
Uplift.
But I can't do this. I can't do this now. Or standing. And I'll, stand and I'm like, okay, so, what am I telling everybody? Look at me. But, standing up straight, up. And I'm like, this really is comfortable. I feel better, but I can't walk around like this. I should, but I can't. And here I am again.
But
It's
you catch yourself and you catch yourself again and you catch yourself again. And then gradually you're not catching yourself quite as much because it's starting to repattern. But that's part of why people come to get body work and they expect to get fixed in an hour.
Yeah.
Because of the messaging they've received. It's like, no, the muscles, you can go build those in 6 weeks, right? But when you're remodeling the fascia and your neuromuscular myofascial patterning, that's going to take a year, maybe 2 years, maybe the rest of your life. Because,
it's like, it's little thing, and it really is little things. Whenever I go to the supermarket, I park my car far away and I walk to get the cart and I go shopping and I bring the cart back to the car and then I take the cart and I return it. It's not,
hey, a few extra steps.
It's a few extra steps. It's so, I think to myself, I'm respecting other people's cars. Hello. And I'm just putting a little, bang in the day here. And that's sort of how I think about all things. It's like,
yes,
take the extra mile. Take the extra mile, I used to, one of the things, I'm sure it's an argument that every couple have ever had in their lives. You're in the car. Why are you going that way? Well, this is how I go. Well, my way's shorter. Well, by what? 50, 60 seconds? I don't understand. What are you going to do with that time? And, you're driving. No, make a right. And you have the argument all the time. And that's a control thing between couples. But I often think in my mind, let's enjoy the ride.
There you go.
Just enjoy the ride. We're having a road trip, and I'll get into my car even if I'm going to the store. Sometimes I laugh and I say road trip.
Yes, and that's it.
Make a party out of it.
And joy, generate the joy. Bring more play into every day. It's about your approach to living well instead of
I gotta go food shopping. I'm food shopping. No,
gotta go to the grocery again. Oh, I'll just order it. I'll sit here on the couch next to the door and order it on my phone and reach over and open the door when they deliver it and never get off the couch again. But there's a cost of convenience, and the choices when you start thinking about these things, not just within yourself and the impact on you and your body, but the world, the global impact of all of this.
Well, that's the other thing. Exactly. There's an impact on yourself, but there's also a large.
I'm always picking up people's trash all over the place, and it's a good movement exercise for me, and I feel good about it, but it also becomes very hard and heavy because people are so trashy and don't care and are just we're a plague on this planet. And it's,
when I walk my
very
dog,
disheartening, but the change starts within. I could choose to get beaten down by that and to just stop and be like, it's useless. Why bother? Right?
No, you have to bother. That's how the problem's solved. By everybody saying, well, if I do a little bit, I'm going to solve the problem. Because 50,000 people doing a little bit suddenly solves the problem.
Yeah, exactly. I could not walk by another mask. And I started using the doggy poo bags to pick up the masks and to break the strings so that, if they did blow away, the birds wouldn't get them. It was horrifying how many masks were on the sidewalk and in the grass and stuff over the past couple of years. And it's just making those little changes. That's part of the premise behind being happier, healthier humans, is because when we become happier and healthier within and for ourselves, dealing with these ants, the little voices, the negative self-talk, that just, that survival mechanisms of look out for all of the danger and the negativity. When we become happier and healthier, it spreads to around us. Those around us become happier and healthier. The park is happier and healthier because I pick up the piggy people's trash. The birds are happier and healthier. So it ripples forth. And truly, we create a better world together by taking better care of ourselves. The ultimate act locally, think globally, right?
Right. I have to say that I don't understand the thought process of going to McDonald's, getting a Big Mac with a soda and French fries in a bag, eating it in the car as you're driving, then throwing the bag out of the car. What? I don't understand that. If you got that bag, you're in your car, bring it home. What, you don't want anybody to know that you were eating McDonald's? Then you wouldn't be eating it.
There's so many layers to the human behavior and, things that...
The other thing is, on this, like, if there's any garbage on my property or on the street or on the sidewalk, I just pick it up. I don't wait for something like, who's going to pick this up? It's like, it's my property. I'm going to pick it up. The other day, I'm walking the dog, and there's a liquor bottle all broken up. And Lucy steps right in it.
Yeah.
Right? And I'm like, I can't deal with this right now. And I left, and it irked me that I didn't deal with it. But I was angry. And I had to, the next day, I didn't think, I'll bring a garbage bag. But I had the poopy bags.
Yeah.
I had many poopy bags. And as I walked past it, I bent down, I picked up the glass, I put it in the poopy bag, and I brought it home and threw it away. And, who what?
This is Ginger.
Oh,
she had a horrible life, but now she lives a life of luxury.
Is that a Chihuahua?
Yes.
Is it a Chiwooski?
She's something.
She's
a Jekyll Hyde kind of traumatized creature. She was a puppy mill mom. She has no teeth, but now she has all kinds of love. She and Max are like the ultimate odd couple because he's a big white German Shepherd. Sorry to interrupt your talk
I had a Ginger myself, but my Ginger was ginger colored, like yours, but redder, and she was a mini pin, and she liked to sit inside my clothes. Yeah. So very often I'd be at my desk and she'd want to sit in my lap and then she'd want to sit. And, occasionally in the middle of a meeting, it would get like, and all of a sudden, and the people would be like, what the heck? I'd be like, welcome, Ginger. Well, here she is. Ginger woke up.
Right. That's enough, Mac. That's hilarious. That's hilarious. Like, whoop.
And she would do that. And she was also Jekyll and Hyde. Everyone else she hated, but she loved me to death.
What fun.
Animals are very important to me. Well, Wendy, this has been exciting. What, where, how, when, how can people find you? When, how, where?
TamingYourTension.com. HappierHealthierHumans.com. Both of those are on YouTube. If you can go to Linktree at Taming Your Tension. I'm on LinkedIn primarily. I'm starting to get more active on Facebook again and Instagram. And yeah, I looked at that Threads thing, but it's really just people talking to people. And it's like a great way to waste a lot of time.
Yeah, but we don't need another Discord. I don't think so.
Yeah. There's too many things. I'm working on creating great things and connecting great people. And so happierhealthierhumans.com. TamingYourTension.com. Taming the tensions of modern living with simple strategies for less pain, more energy.
There you go. I really appreciate you coming on to Email and Coffee, and it's been wonderful talking with you, and I look forward to staying in touch.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
Thank you.